It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Without getting ahead of ourselves and overreacting, where do you think this is headed with Stetson Bennett and the NFL draft?
Before this game, and I don't really move it much, every once in a while I'll maybe kind of tag it up or tag it down, depending on certain things. But I thought he'd probably be a fifth-round pick. And so that's where I stand with it. Man, he's smart. He's accurate. He's not a big man in the pocket. From that standpoint, he's got pretty good mobility skills. He can run well with it. But the NFL is a different game, just a totally different game than college football. And so he's going to get a shot and to play at the next level. But what I like about him is he's smart, he's accurate, and he takes over the game from a standpoint of he is the field general. He's got that skill set, and so I would, I would say he's going to probably be a third-day pick. But he, some people are going to overreact to it, and that's a good point. That's a good point. Some people are going to get overly excited with all this. I'll never forget. This was Mike Ditka when he was here with the Saints. And got into a discussion about Danny Werfel, who was a great college quarterback. I mean, just an unbelievable guy. And he was trying to convince everybody, I don't see why you guys didn't have him ranked higher than what he is. I think, he's going to be a top 100 pick in the draft. And I was like, there's no way he's going to go that high. Well, but Mike picked him. So that's why he said it. And so, the one thing with Mike, you had to understand his method of madness with it. And, again, there's some similarities there between Danny and Stetson.
Yeah.
When you think about it. There's some similarities
I like
there.
where you're going there.
I think Stetson's a little better athlete from a movement standpoint, but they both have similar traits. And, again, it didn't translate to the NFL. It didn't translate. Now, can Stetson play in the NFL as a backup? Yeah. I think that could possibly be the case. But I would think you're looking at, a late fourth into fifth round selection for Stetson. And you know what you get from him. You really do. And why I say that as a backup, I think he's a bit of a spark plug type guy that you could put him in there and, if you needed something to kind of maybe spark your team, or if, your quarterback went down for a short period of time, he could step in and do the job for you. As far as being a full-time starter, I don't see that.
Mike Detillier has been covering the NFL draft for almost 4 decades. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show. I like where you're going there with that Danny Werfel comp.
Yeah, I think it's similar. They have a lot of the same comps to him. Now, for some people, who's Danny Werfel? But, man, Danny was an unbelievable college quarterback. He really was. And in that system that Spurrier had, he ran it as well as anybody could have.
Yeah, no, he did. What?
And he had a thick hide, too. And I always would tell him that, because, criticism didn't bother him. Or somebody telling him something. Because, listen, to play for Steve was tough on quarterback.
Yes.
Really tough. And if he thought that Steve was bad on him, then he comes here with Ditka, and Ditka was even worse. I mean, Mike never played quarterback in his life, but you'd have swore, he was Joe Montana. I mean, he knew everything about playing quarterback. And Danny had that ability to just absorb it and say, yeah, okay. He didn't take it personal. When you think about Stetson's career, you got to have a pretty thick hide to go through what he went through.
True.
And the best comment, this was last summer. We at Louisiana Line Camp. And they have a number of coaches. They all talking about Georgia as they lead into the 2021 season. And everybody was, well, so-and-so should be the quarterback, and J.T. Daniels should be the quarterback, and this guy should be the quarterback. Well, I'd go with the freshman at quarterback. And Pete Jenkins is there. Pete's coached 52 years in major college football and in the NFL. And once Pete gets started in the conversation, because Pete goes and works with Kirby Smart and the Georgia defensive line every year, spring and in the fall. And he was like, guys, listen, y'all just calm down. He said, I'm going to tell y'all something and remember it. All these hotshot names y'all bringing up, it's like y'all guys wanting to date the best-looking gal in school. And y'all forget about who's going to make the best wife. Stetson Bennett's going to be the best wife for Georgia. He said that before Stetson won one national championship. And I always think about that. Pete Sard knew, that Stetson was the right guy for Georgia. And they threw a lot at Stetson, a lot of these five-star quarterbacks and all these guys with these big names. And, he made that comment. Y'all all want to date the prettiest girl in school, but who's going to make the best wife? Stetson.
So, Stetson, we're visiting with Mike Detillier, NFL insider on the Out of Bounds show and the Patron Tequila guest line. Mike, he's listed at 5'11", which means he's 5'10". We've had a couple of outliers break through. Drew Brees, who's an absolute freak, and Russell Wilson, who is built like a Mack truck, and he's almost 6 feet. Let's just say Drew's 6 feet. Not many others outside of that can break through the ceiling. They don't have to be 6'4", 230 anymore, like everybody thought in 1983. But when I throw that, he is listed right here as at 5'11", which means he's probably 5'10". What do you make of that in Stetson Bennett?
Yeah, that's part of it too. But you know what? We're going to have this discussion about Bryce Young too.
But he's a freak. I mean,
he is, but the build is not thick.
True.
He's not real tall.
True.
And where I would agree most of the time, because I think prototypical size is something everybody in the NFL looks at, okay? You want your linemen to be a certain size. You want your corners to be a certain size. It helps at wide receiver to be 6'3", even though, we've seen some of them, that are a little over 6 foot really play big in this league. But with Bryce, that discussion's going to be there because of the fact he isn't prototypical. He's not. But there's always exceptions to the rule. And people are like, well, I don't know. Okay, well, then you take Levis from Kentucky and see how that turns out. Okay, and this is nothing against Will, because I like him. I really do. I got to spend some time with him at Manning and afterwards, and he's a big lumberjack type build. But from an accuracy and a pinpoint thrower, who's better, Bryce Young or Levis? And it's not even a debate. So Bryce is going to be put under that scrutiny too. And for all these yas that's going to come on and tell you the exact same thing about he's not prototypical. But I think Archie Manning put it best. He's this generation's version of Fran Tarkenton. And I think that's a really good comp.
I love that comp.
We watched him at Manning, and Archie turned to me and he said, Mike, you don't have to go to Wikipedia. All that white in your hair, you saw him. He's Fran Tarkenton. He's our your generational version of Fran. And I think Archie's right. I think he's absolutely right about it. So it's going to not help Stetson, put it to you that way. That he's not prototypical size, and he doesn't have this super strong arm. But he's smart and he's accurate, and he can make all the NFL throws. It just won't get there as fast. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the reason why I would give him an early third day draft grade.
Fair enough. All right.
But you don't have to convince all 32 teams.
That's exactly right.
You're not running for presidency. You don't have to get all those electoral votes, And again, you're going to have a Mike Ditka out there. You're going to have a coach
who doesn't understand that position.
That I want Stetson because I think he's a winner and he can help us. And so that I've heard that way too many times for people to say, "Oh, he'll go undrafted." No, he won't. They'll have some team select him, I guarantee you.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.